That's probably why I'm hand motion.
Okay. Glasses glare horrible. It's horrible. The glare is horrible.
Can you see though?
I can't see a lick.
That's the problem.
Cannot see. Can't see nothing.
I mean, as for right now, it's just overview. All right.
Hold on. Because I can't see. And like the glare on the glasses is horrible. Like the glasses glare is absolutely atrocious. Like look at that.
Video is so much harder than audio.
It is.
all these things to factor in, and
lighting, and just like
can't record in
you
your
can't
jammies,
record in your jammies. It's so much things to consider, but we're doing it for some god awful reason.
Because we're broke. And also, we have things that we still want to continue to talk about, but also it's because we're broke.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anyway, now that lovely banter is out of the way, welcome back to Exasperated.
Hi guys.
For those of you who are coming from not a happy family and wondering what the heck happened to us, well, here we are.
Life happened, like Christmas and New Year's
and Thanksgiving. We're not going to talk about Thanksgiving.
No,
here we are again, and we're trying a different format. So for pretty much everybody, this is the first time seeing us. I'm Yvain.
I'm Yasmin.
And this is what we actually look like. So I'm sorry if the voice did not line up with the face or the body feature. I'm sorry, but this is what we actually look like.
That's wild, but so true.
I mean, expectations get ruined all the time. It just, it is what it is, and it will be what it be. And it will always be
what it be.
What it be. But we are back again, once again. This time we have an actual plan instead of just picking a random book. We are going into what we are going to refer to as the year of mythos.
Woo!
Hopefully I said that right, because there's going to be little to no editing going forward. So if we fumble, we fumble.
We fumble.
That's another thing that is changing. We are going to be starting off with, I don't want to make this mistake.
Tony Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone. And I'm so excited because I've read this book already, but every time you read a good book over and over, you find more things that you love about it or that you didn't pick up on the first time. So I'm really excited to dive into this year of mythos with Tony Adeyemi.
But before we get into it, again, we did a little bit more reconstructing. Over, last time we recorded was October. So it was like 4 months. I know math.
Yes, you do. You went to school.
I went to school. I have a degree.
You have a degree.
That I do not use. But that is a different story for a different time. But essentially, we did a bit of reconstructing. And some things are going to remain the same and some things are going to be different. I know the first time that we came back, we said that we're mainly going to be focusing on books and kind of like spin-offs and things of that nature. But after a very interesting conversation over the past couple of days, we decided that yes, books will still kind of sort of be our focus, but we're kind of branching out more to beyond media, if that makes any sense. Of course, as we read these books, especially Children of Blood and Bone, we have plans to read Legendborn and other books along that line. We're going to run into social issues, we're going to run into political issues, and we are going to talk about those things. But the broad scope is basically, especially with this year of mythos, highlighting people of color writers. Not saying that if you're not a people of color writer, you don't write good mythos books, because we love Percy Jackson. And even outside of mythology books, I personally love Maximum Ride. That will always be one of my favorite books.
That was our gateway into reading,
But, and my sister will explain it better. And if you didn't know, yes, we are siblings.
Yeah.
My sister will explain it better than I could.
We're related.
My sister will explain it better than I could. But the general gist is that because growing up, we didn't have a lot of people of color writers, especially writing in this mythology and fantasy genre, we think it is, and it's funny because this kind of does line up with Black History Month.
Yeah.
But we think that, hey, you know what? Let's highlight these writers. Not that those writers need to be highlighted by us, because let's be honest, it's not like we're reaching 2.5 million people anyway.
Right.
Yet. But at the same time, we think that it would be pretty interesting to do that.
So in this year of Mythos, we're very focused on covering, like Yvain said, writers of color, we're talking about African mythology, we're talking about Chinese mythology, Hispanic mythology. Legendborn is Arthurian mythology, but told from a Black perspective. And so we're just really trying to, like you said, highlight these authors and these stories because we didn't see much of those stories as children. And in this day and age where everybody's talking about representation, and it's something to say when we as children who are of Caribbean descent, who are of color, can say, well, I didn't see that as a child. Like, I didn't read that as a child. And when we read these books, we identify much more with these characters because they're speaking to experiences that we have experienced, or that feels very similar to what we have experienced. So it's kind of this weird but yet still fulfilling type space to be in, because when we talk about just this will come out in February, so it's Black History Month, and about where we as a people have came from. It's kind of like, okay, why weren't these stories around when we were children? And now that we're adults reading young adult fiction, it's kind of like, I wish I had that as a kid. You know, I wish I had that type of representation to see myself in this limelight of African mythology, or as an author, because it's not just about like it's African mythology or it's mythology of people of color, but these are authors of color,
right,
that we as individuals, as children, didn't read. Like, it was James Patterson, Rick Riordan. I read Artemis Fowl as a kid.
Cassandra Clare, if I remember correctly.
Cassandra Clare, yeah.
I think that is the Circle of Magic series that I read, that I also love. Yeah, but
it's funny that we're talking about J.K. Rowling, right?
Yeah.
That those were like the big, and there's names that we didn't even mention that were big on the book scene, but they didn't look like us. And it's not to say that as a person who is not a person of color, you can't write characters of color, but it's something different when you have experienced the life and you write the character. And so we're reading these books with an adult mindset, because I don't think there's stuff we would have missed as a kid.
And the funny thing is that it extends even past literature.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, as you can see on the camera, yes, this is my laptop. Yes, the front of my laptop is covered with Pokemon stickers. Again, if you're coming from not a happy family and you do not know, I am in fact a huge gamer.
Yeah.
More particularly in the more JRPG genre, so such as Zelda or Persona, or if you don't play video games, these names may sound completely foreign to you, but that's okay. I'm here to enlighten you on a certain level. But I'm so glad they could see the foolishness that you're doing now. I'm so happy that this is now a thing. So you guys know when I take long pauses, you can see it now. I'm so happy this is a thing. But anyway.
Sorry.
Even growing up playing something like Pokemon, it wasn't until, and hopefully the internet won't flame me for getting this fact wrong. It wasn't until Pokemon X to where you could have actually created a character of color.
Really?
Yeah, partly because if I remember correctly, like this is coming off the cuff, I didn't do any research. Most of the times the protagonists of those games would be some of the characters you would see in the anime, but also, and I don't know why I said because I'm pretty sure that's the main reason, but I find that is now really interesting because even as I play games such as like Diablo 4 that I started playing, like Diablo 3, you couldn't customize your skin color, but in 4 you can now do different skin colors. And there was another game I was going to bring up. Okay, for example, another thing is like with black hairstyles, right? I remember especially early games that had character creators, you had a whole lot of hairstyles and only like 2 black hairstyles.
Yeah.
And you had a whole lot of like different skin colors, but only like 2 black skin colors.
Yeah.
And as we were saying yesterday, the reason behind that is I don't believe that these people are intentionally trying to exclude people of color, or more specifically African Americans, but those games and those spaces, like we said yesterday, may not have been particularly catered to or made for people of color, especially people with darker skin complexion.
I wouldn't say made for, but I would say the word I would use is marketed to. Because then, like, when you think about marketing, and the whole thing is who's your audience.
Right.
So, like we were talking about yesterday, it's for us growing up, it was for video games, it was 2K or Madden or Call of Duty. Like, that was what I feel was marketed to our group. Whereas not a lot of people we knew played RPGs, JRPGs.
Or even RPGs.
Or RPGs in general. I liked action adventure games. So, and not a lot of people I knew played action adventure. A lot of people I knew played 2K or they play Madden. But that's what they were marketing. They were marketing to this group of people. And you could tell based upon who's on the cover. Or you could tell based upon who they're using as the for commercials. They're not marketing to you and I. They're marketing to you and I. They're not marketing to other people. It just so happens that those groups also play
those games.
Or watch those
types
of TV shows and movies. And so that's how that their market is us, but also we're their target audience, but also like the audience was anybody else who loves basketball or anybody else who loves football or Call of Duty. But they wanted to make sure in my mind that this group of people understands that, hey, this is a game you want to play. And so we were talking about yesterday, what we love about what's happening now in the culture are people of color are finding but leaning into what they love to do and saying, bump it. This might not have been what it was when I was a kid or when I was little, but now I'm leaning into this and I'm going to create a space for what I love to do, and hopefully other people will join me. And we're finding other people who like cosplay, right? Yeah. That was not something, it was just not a thing.
It was not seen as an African American black person.
No.
If I could be unpolitically correct, dark skinned person thing.
No, it wasn't.
It was most definitely seen as whether I'll say it like this, and I could be wrong. Like, again, don't flame me, but it was most definitely the lighter your skin complexion, the more that it was suited. More likely it was suited for you, especially when it comes to cosplay. And even today, not getting into it because I am not a part of the cosplay community, but I have massive respect for the people who are in it.
Yep.
We still kind of sort of see that divide with people who are of darker skin complexion cosplaying, getting more flack over certain characters versus people of lighter complexion. But we're not going to talk about that today. That honestly could be a whole nother
podcast.
We only have like roughly 5 minutes left for this episode. So, but another thing is also when you think about D&D.
Yeah.
Like I was telling my sister this yesterday to her, I was on TikTok a minute ago, and I saw somebody dark skin complexion. I don't know if they're African American, but they were of dark skin complexion. And they said, yeah, all right, if you sitting at the table with me and my friends and you cast fireball and hit all of us, we're jumping you. And somebody in the comments said, I didn't know I ended up on Black D&D. But it's funny because I myself, as a person who enjoys D&D, yes, I am a Christian. That is another conversation for another day. But as a person who enjoys D&D, kind of sort of growing up, I personally didn't see my friends. Well, I was going to say my friends, but most of my friends were either girls or Asians. Life was weird. That's just... Middle school was a hard time.
Continue.
But
just keep talking. Just keep talking.
But growing up, I didn't hear about. Let me say that I didn't hear about other people of my skin complexion playing D&D, doing cosplay, and all this other stuff that you see now. Stop laughing at me. Stop that. Stop that. I can't lie before God, and I cannot lie before the camera. I had to correct myself. I had to correct myself. To be honest, I was even laughing about that this morning. It was like, it wasn't really until high school that I actually got Black male friends.
And that's okay. It's just the way you said it that has me cracking up. Oh, shoot. Have mercy on us.
3 minutes.
Okay, so basically, the whole reason why we're doing this intro episode is to tell you why we're doing this. And why we're doing this is because we're people of color. And because our stories matter. And because, really and truly, I saw something the other day that shook me, is that colleges are looking for students who are coming into college who have read full books. Like, people don't read. Not even just books, just plain reading, period.
Which is greatly surprising to me, but...
And so, we're highlighting these stories and talking about media and talking about how these stories we're connecting these stories to our life and what's going on with what's around us, because not just because we identify with them, but because it's important for the world to know, or for the 5 of y'all who are listening to know that...
Or maybe 4.
Or maybe 4. Hi, moms. That reading is essential. And so, and that you can find... that you can find meaning and joy in everything, and that it's just that reading doesn't have to be a task.
Right.
Our dad says that why he loves to read is because it takes you to another place. And so, yes, we have all this technology. We got VR and AI and television and all this technology that can take you somewhere, but there's nothing like your good old imagination and being drawn into something that when you come out, you're like, whoa, that was amazing. And these writers are writing stories that really draw you in, they're world building and just amazing on every level, that when you're done, you might be in a reading slump. You might just be, because they've written these stories so well, and you feel with the characters, and you hate certain characters, and you love certain characters,
and you love to hate certain characters,
and you want to throw certain characters away, or like at the end of one book that we've read, I was like, this man got exactly what he deserved and felt no remorse for it.
I did not disagree because we read the same book. So and that's a different conversation. Continue. I'm sorry. We got a minute.
So why we are not just pivoting, but trying to draw in all this other sort of media and just having a good time with hashing out what we've read is because we read, and we want to share that with you all. So in this last 30 seconds.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
In this last 30 seconds, as you can see, this is just going to be fun and what?
Scuffed.
I don't know what that means, but it's just going to be a fun time where we just laugh and talk about what we want to talk about and share that with you. So I hope you guys enjoy this. As you can see, like and subscribe because
2000 YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what your favorite part of the episode was. Leave a comment, but don't pay no mind to me.
We'll figure out an exit, but let us know what you're excited about for this. And now you threw me off my game, as you can see.
And be ready for the first episode of Children of Blood and Bone coming out maybe after this, maybe a week after this. We'll figure it out. But until then, we'll see you guys then.
Bye, guys. Happy reading.